Hey guys, it's Jill here from Lavender and Friends. Thank you for joining me today. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for watching. Today I wanted to have a bit of a chat with you guys about inviting people to classes. Whether you are just wanting to take advantage of the current promo at the moment about enrolling friends, or whether you're doing doTERRA as a business, it's a really important step to be able to actually invite people to come along and to learn with you. Now, the first thing I want to mention, as always, is if you are planning on inviting people to classes, being an enroller, and getting any form of commission from doTERRA, you need to remember to have your loyalty rewards template set to 100 points for the whole month. If you don't have that in place, you won't be eligible for any commissions. So make sure you've got that set up. If you have any questions, just ask whoever enrolled you or whoever your upline or mentor is. Or if you don't have a mentor, or if you haven't enrolled yet, talk to me and I'd love to help you out with that. Now, that way, if you have that 100 LRP in place, you'll be able to get your fast start commissions. Now, I did a video the other day talking about fast start commissions. It's my video on host coaching and fast start commissions. Watch that if you need a recap. Now, I'll just give you guys a bit of a background. As you can tell by my accent, I have grown up all over the world. By the time I was 12 years old, I had actually been to 6 schools in 3 different countries. And so I very quickly learned how to make new friends. When you're the new kid at school, you very quickly have to learn how to make new friends, talk to people. And because we moved around so much growing up, I was kind of faced with a choice. I could either be really quiet and shy and not make any friends and hope I moved away quickly, and or I could just enjoy the time I was there, make friends, and see how it went. So obviously I chose to learn how to make friends. So these are some of the things I've learned in terms of the training that I've done, as well as just, life experiences. So the first thing when it comes to asking people to learn more about doTERRA, I would just want to say to you, what are you afraid of? What's the worst thing you can happen? Just really quickly. 1, what's the worst thing that can happen? They say no. They think you're a crazy hippie person. They think you're kind of weird. They accuse you of being in a pyramid scheme. Is that really the worst that can happen? 2, can you live with that? Is it really that bad if they think you're a weird hippie person? Does it really matter? And 3, just do it. Seriously, just get out there and ask people. The worst they can do, honestly, is just laugh at you or say no or kind of think you're a bit weird, and that's okay. Just, breathe your balance and remember how grounded and calm you are. Now, I'd heard a really, really good training asking, I think it was Edge Success. It was 2 diamonds. They were talking, and basically the guy said, imagine you got paid $500 for every single person you spoke to about doTERRA. Whether they said yes or no, just imagine you got $500 for talking to them. What would you do? You would call every single person you've ever met. You would talk to every single person you come in contact with. And he basically went on to say that he had worked out with the income he earns now divided by the number of people he spoke to, he would be getting about $500 for every person he'd spoke to. So, obviously when you're first starting out, you're not going to be quite on that amount of income. That's okay. But maybe just, tell yourself that if you're a bit nervous, just think, what have I got to lose? This person could be amazing. What if they love doTERRA? What if they say yes? Like, we're always so busy focusing on the what if they say no? Well, what if they say yes? What if they're like, yeah, I'd love to learn about doTERRA, but you don't know if you don't give them that chance. So I want to sort of explain to you a training technique that I've been taught, and it's called AIDA, A-I-D-A. And basically when you bump into a friend, when you see someone, you want to use this technique to kind of, first of all, build rapport, build a relationship, establish, communication with them, and then obviously guide them and bring up doTERRA in a natural way. So it's not like, hi, nice to meet you, have you heard of doTERRA? Because that's a bit confronting to people. So the first step is A, for approach. So, hey, how you going? Oh, look, I love your necklace. Oh, how's little Jessica going? If you've got kids the same age. It's just sort of, have a reason to go over and say hello. Now, the second thing you want to do is I, which is interview. Ask them questions that are relevant to them. You want to find out about them. You want to see how they're going. You want to know what's new in their world. What have they been dealing with? Find out a bit about them, build that rapport, and show that, you don't have an agenda of just, hey, I want you to buy something. You actually genuinely are coming from a place of love and service, and you want to try and help them with their problems. But you can't help them if you don't know what those problems are. So that's where the interview comes in. How's work going? How's life going? How have you found this winter? What's been going on? The third step is D, for demonstrate. So think about, given the information you've gained from them, from your beautiful interview questions, how can the oils apply to them? how would they help them? Why would this person be interested in the oils? So for example, maybe you've gone, hey, you know, can my child borrow your child's spade in the sand pit? This does actually happen to me a lot. My child loves to play in the sand pit, and you know, it's a great conversation starter. And then you might chat to this mom, oh, how old's your little one? Oh, mine's the same, you know. And you might say, oh, how are you going with this whole, you know, 2-year molars sleeping thing? And they might go, oh, my kid is not sleeping, it's terrible, they're teething pain, it's horrible. There you go. Lavender, good for sleeping. Lavender and frankincense on the jaw, good for teething. You could then mention, oh, you know, we've been using something natural, and it's a natural way to guide the conversation. You know, it's sort of, it sets you up as a credible person that you're actually caring about them, and then they're more likely to listen to you. Now, the fourth step, AIDA, is acquire. Ask for the desired outcome. So if you're, you know, you've just met someone, you're like, you want them to come to a class, then ask them to the class. Give them the next step. Oh, you know, I'd love to talk to you more about doTERRA, or I'd love to talk to you about oils. Are you open to learning more? I've got a class coming up. My friend's having a class. Would you like to come with me? Now, one thing I will say is be intentional with your conversations. So if you're catching up with a friend, think about it in your head. I'm really big on role playing in my head. Like when I used to do gymnastics, when we used to compete, before we do competitions, we would actually sit down, close our eyes, and actually visualize the routine in our heads, and we think through everything we're going to do, every move, where we look, where we point our toes, what, you know, mental cues we need to think of, you know, stretch your arms, reach up, that kind of stuff. And it's the same when I'm planning on meeting friends. I try to think, you know, what are things I know have been going on in their life? How might these oils help them? What oils could I maybe talk about? Obviously not in a creepy stalker way, and you know, I love my friends and I'm wanting to be genuine and caring for them, but sort of, you know, don't just sort of fumble your way through conversations. And if you are nervous about talking to people, practice on loved ones, practice on friends, practice on someone who you trust. You can just say to them, hey, I'm, you know, trying to get better at this. Can I practice on you? That's, you know, or talk to whoever enrolls you. Say you want practice, and, you know, ask them for help. Now, a really easy option is to invite people to other people's classes. So if you don't want to have a class of your own and you're a bit nervous, you don't feel up to that, find out what your, maybe if there's a local doTERRA person in your area, if you can bring friends along. A lot of people offer incentives. So for example, for me, if someone brings a friend to a class, they both get a free bottle of wild orange. So maybe ask, you know, ask your upline if there's something like that. If you are, you know, starting a doTERRA business, that's something you could tell your friends, hey, bring a friend along, and that's a good way to grow your network. Now, another thing as well is figure out what they're interested in. So for example, are they into chakras? Are they into natural chemical-free cleaning? Do they want to boost their immunity? Have they been sick this entire winter and are just so fed up with it? You want to make it about them, okay? It's not about me, it's about them. So think them, time, health, energy, money. How can having oils save them time? You know, they don't have to go to a doctor if they get sick. They don't get sick in the first place. They can avoid chemicals. They don't have to go to the shops. It's delivered straight to their door. Think about things like that. Health. Obviously, doTERRA is a natural solution. It's wonderful. It's going to help them. You know it. That's why you're sharing it with them. So think about how that might apply to them. Energy. You know, are the oils going to help them have more energy to get stuff done? Is it going to help them with the sleeping? And finally, money. Cost is a big thing. How is being a member of doTERRA going to save them money? A lot of people see the initial investment and they kind of go, oh, that's really huge. Break it down for them. How do you use your oils every day to get the most out of them financially? I really get frustrated if people spend money on oils and then never use the oils. It's a waste of money. Then, you know, you want to actually be supporting them in that. Now, when you're inviting people to classes, another thing I strongly suggest is have personalized invites. Don't just create a Facebook event and invite every single person you've spoken to and then assume they're going to see it. They might not. So I like doing a personalized invite. So even if you just print out a little invite, something they can stick on the fridge, something they can look at. It's just a simple, easy thing to do, and it makes you look more professional. So if I'm running a class for someone, I will actually, as part of my host coaching, say, can I drop some invites off to you? Can I mail some invites to you? Can I email you and you print them off? doTERRA in their Empower Kit, which you can purchase online, actually comes with beautiful little invites you can fill out and hand them out, and that's something nice and easy. And another thing I want to talk about as well is called the 3 doors of openness. So basically, the idea behind the 3 doors of openness is You need to get people through each of the doors. Now, the first door is, are you open to learning? They're not open to learning, they're not going to purchase, they're not going to share, they're not going to have anything to do with you. So the first step is, are you open to learning? And you use that language. You say, are you open to learning about oils? Because people don't want to be closed. They don't want to be like, you know, they don't want to seem shut off. So if you say, are you open? Then they'll be like, yeah, I'm open. I'm open to learning. And you make it non-threatening. It's about learning. Whether they buy or not, who cares? It's about learning, it's about education. As you guys know, Lavender and Friends is about essential oil, education, and inspiration. And that's what I'm really passionate about. I want people learning about oils. And then when you learn about them, of course, you're gonna love them and you're gonna want to use them. Now, the second door of openness is, are you open to using the products? Are you open to having them in your house? This is something where once they've had an oil experience or they've been to a class, that's when you'd be asking them, are you open to using? Because obviously if they've learned about it, they know what it can do, they can know how to use it. Are they open to actually using it? And then the third door is, are you open to sharing? So are you open to hosting a class? Are you open to inviting a friend of yours to my class? Do you have a friend you think you could refer to me? Obviously, they're not going to refer a friend to you if they're not even open to learning about it in the first place. So that's why I talk about the doors of openness. You've got to get from one to the next to the next. Now, another thing I want to mention, which I will be honest, I get really excited about oils. And when someone shows like a tiny bit of interest, I'm like, talk about oils. And that's something I'm personally having to work on because I don't want to scare people off and be like, you know, an overeager puppy that's like scaring people away. So one thing I got told, which is very true, is you don't get married on your first date. It's not about getting them to buy oils at the first conversation. It's not the very first time you mention oils, you're literally like, have you heard of doTERRA? It's amazing, you should buy it. And here's how you sign up, sign this. They're gonna think you're crazy. It's about sort of, you know, building a relationship with them, you know, teaching them about the oils slowly. It's not about getting them to buy at the very first conversation. It's about building the rapport. There is a book and it's GoPro, I think, by Eric Ward. Great book, fabulous. And he talks about being a farmer, not a hunter. So farmers, they plant their seeds, they water their seeds, they're patient, they take their time, they keep checking up on it. Hunter just goes, target, bang. You know, and that's what we don't want to be. We don't want to be hunters. We don't want to be scaring people off. We want to be farmers. We want to be building relationships, nurturing, growing, and loving. And it can be frustrating. Sometimes it can take months and months and months and months of conversations before someone is willing to even learn. And it can be frustrating. You go, I want results now. I know this is going to help you. I know what I'm talking about. And you get frustrated. But you just got to let it go and just go, nope, I'm a farmer. We're just going nice and slow. And that's fine. You know, just keep it nice and slow. Another thing as well is you want to give people options. Some people are never going to come to a class. They don't have time. They live too far away. They have kids. They have no babysitters, whatever. So that's fine. Maybe they can't attend a class. Maybe they could do a one-on-one. Maybe they can do a Zoom. Maybe they can do a phone call. Maybe you can mail them samples. Give them options. If you give people options, then it gives them options. They can make their decision that best suits them. I try to do 2 options at a time. Otherwise, it's overwhelming. So I might say, would you like to attend a class? Would you like to host a class? Would you like to come to a class or have a one-on-one? Would you like me to give you some samples or would you like to come to a class? Just, you know, play it by ear. Feel how the conversation is going. Another thing as well is always be prepared. Have flyers or invites in your handbag. Have samples in your handbag. Wear your oils. Smell amazing. People will be like, wow, what's that smell? I've been sitting in church and this girl leans over and goes, you smell really good. And, you know, diffuser jewelry. I love it. This is my little diffuser necklace that I bought. I put a drop of balance in there. I smell it, keeps me calm, smells amazing. I put some Sally Bell on before I leave the house. My children are doused up and on guard. So, you know, have it a conversation starter. Have your oils on hand, be ready and be prepared. So if someone does show you some interest in the doTERRA, you can go, oh, look, I've got a sample here. Oh, here's my class list. Why don't you just take one? You know, be prepared. Don't be fumbling around going, oh, I've got a class. I'm not sure when. Just, I'll tell you later. You know, look professional. Now, we're going to talk about samples for a minute. Lots and lots of opinions out there. The only thing I will say is I have found that if you give someone a sample, they are generally more likely to come to a class because then they've had an oil experience. And once you have an oil experience, you want another oil experience or you want to learn more about the oils. So they can be very powerful. Now, as I said, they can be very powerful. They can also be someone goes, thanks for this weird little vial and, you know, whatever, and never uses it, never calls you back, and you've just given away something pointlessly. So use your brain. An example about samples being powerful, one of my very, very dear friends who kind of thinks I'm a bit weird for this whole oil thing and was a bit, you're a bit weird, Jill. That's kind of a bit strange that you're into these oils. Poor girl had horrible, horrible morning sickness. I went over to visit her and she was not very well. And I said, do you want to try a drop of peppermint? She was like, whatever, I'll do anything at this point. And I gave her some peppermint. And about 2 hours later, she's like, I feel amazing. And she literally pulled out her phone and was like, how do I buy some? And logged onto my website and bought some right then and there. So they can be very, very powerful. But as I said, they can also be people take them, never use them. It's a waste of time. So just use your brain with sampling. One thing I will say is before you give a sample, and I watched a fabulous webinar by Mish Pope, definitely look it up about sampling. And she said, first of all, 2 questions you always want to ask. 1, are you already enrolled with doTERRA? People will take samples even though they're enrolled. Check that out first. If they say yes, refer them back to their upline perhaps, or to their enroller. Second question you always want to ask is, are you currently learning about doTERRA from another person? This is one thing I'm very, 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 very strong about, is there is enough sunshine for everyone. If someone should be enrolled by the person who first introduces them to oils. If someone has a friend who's already talking to them about oils, respect that relationship, send them back to their friend. If they, you know, maybe they've just heard about it or they met someone on the bus who was talking about it once, that's a bit of a different story, but don't crash people's parties. Like if someone's building that relationship up, respect that. Because, you know, don't do bad stuff. Like it's bad karma. Just be nice. And like I said, there's enough sunshine for everybody. There's enough people out there who want to learn about oils. You know, respect that relationship. So, you know, before you give a sample, just say, are you already learning about it from someone else? And if they say, oh yeah, I am, then again, send them back to that person. Now, if you are giving away a sample, always book a follow-up appointment afterwards. As in, you say, if I give you this, would you give me your phone number, give me your email, book in a time for a follow-up phone call, and find out what's going to work for them. So, you know, if I give you the sample, would you mind if I got your contact details and I'm going to contact you next week? What day's best? Make it clear that, yes, you're giving them a freebie. It's a freebie. They don't have to pay for it. It's a gift, but you want them to use it and you want to find out how they're going about that. You know, set that expectation. It's not just freebie, 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 take. You know, you do want to build that relationship with them. Now, another thing I'm just going to briefly mention about the oils is, and this is about any sort of sales, I've worked in other sales, obviously, unless you instill the value of something, it will always be too expensive. So one thing that any sales in the world training you will do, they talk about is features versus benefits. So the feature is what something can do. It's just a feature. It's, you know, my laptop has 20 gigabyte of memory. I don't even know if that's true. I don't even know. I have no idea, but that's the feature. The benefit is, why does this feature matter? So for example, Lavender Peace, here's a feature. It has vetiver. Wow, it has vetiver. If no one knows anything about oil, if someone doesn't know anything about oils, they'll be like, what is vetiver and why does this matter? However, vetiver is a natural tranquilizer. That means that by being in the Lavender Peace, it's going to aid with sleeplessness. The benefit is going to be, you're going to sleep better with the Lavender Peace. You're going to wake up refreshed the next day because you've had a good night's sleep. You're going to get to sleep faster and you're going to have more energy in the daytime. That's the difference. So if you're talking to someone about vetiver peace, if you're talking to someone about Lavender Peace, you don't need to keep banging on about the vetiver. You can be banging on about the fact that it's going to help you sleep. And the vetiver is why. Feature versus benefit. If you illustrate the benefit, then the people will see how it applies to them. Now, speaking of that again, apply it to them. If someone has no issues with sleeping and sleeps like a log, then Lavender Peace isn't going to be that exciting for them. They're not really going to care that much. If it's a sleep-deprived mom who has a child that wakes up every hour, Lavender Peace is worth its weight in gold. So again, you've got to apply it to them, figure out what's relevant to them. Another thing I just want to briefly mention is the word no. There is a difference between no right now and no forever. Some people, it's a no right now. And you can say, if you know, would you like to come to a class? And they say no, you can go, that's fine. Would you like me to invite you to another one? Do you want me to touch base in 2 or 3 months? Do you want me to touch base in a year? Do you want me to add you to the mailing list? Figure out how not really firm their no is, but just where they're at. And if they say, oh, look, now's just not a good time for X, Y, Z, then you say, when would be a good time? And, you know, I'll send you an email in 3 months, whatever. Figure out what works for them and respect that. Some people, it will be a no forever. Some people would just be like, no, I'm not interested. Don't bother me. Bugger off. And that's fine too. And just respect that and make a note that every time you see them, don't talk about oils. Just, you know, refrain from it. Even though it's hard, just refrain from it. Respect that. And you never know. Sometimes I have one of my friends who, when I first invited her to class, she was like, yeah, nah, not for me. And then 2 months later, she's like, oh, you still doing those classes? I'm interested. I was like, yeah, come on. Anyway, she enrolled. She loves them now. And, you know, I just respected that. She said no, I let it be. And eventually she decided to come back to me. Not always going to happen, but sometimes it can. So just respect it. Don't keep pushing the boundaries. Now, one thing I will say is if you invite someone to a class, touch base 2 days before just to remind them. I always just give them a message saying, hey, can't wait for the class in 2 days. Do you have any dietary things I need to know about? In this day and age, it's a totally reasonable question because a lot of people do have dietary things. Another thing as well is on the day of the class, maybe just send them a picture. Hey, look what I made for the class, and a picture of your brownies or whatever you've cooked. Then they'll sort of be a bit more encouraged to want to come because they're like, oh, crumbs, she made all this effort. She's made food. I don't want to bail on her. And then again, you know, they'll come along and hopefully have a good time. Another thing as well is please don't Please don't spray and pray. Spray stuff all over Facebook or social media or whatever, and then just pray someone reads it and goes, oh, this post is amazing. I must enroll with this person. You know, the 20-80 rule is on your personal Facebook page. 20% can be about whatever business it is you're running, whether it's an essential oil business or you walk dogs or you sell shoes, whatever. 20% about that, 80% about your real life. Otherwise, your friends will actually unfriend you and get kind of annoyed. I have unfriended a few of my friends because they kept spamming me about just whatever it was. And after a while, I'd be like, you know, I'm just going to unfollow you. This is annoying. Like, I want to be friends with you, but I'm seriously over this. So just don't overly spam people. And, you know, be strategic, as I said, with your conversations with people. Now, one thing that a lot of people talk about with when you start working with doTERRA is to do a 100 names list. I agree with the logic behind it. I think it is very important to sit down and sort of brainstorm how many people you have and how many people you know. And, you know, it makes you realize there's more people out there than you might think. Otherwise, you might just list 5 people. And then if you ask each of them and they say no, you're like, oh, well, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone, I'm done. That's it. You know, when really you might have lots of people, you know, you just didn't really think of them. I'm more of a mind map person. I've always been into mind mapping. So for me, what that looks like, I'm just going to quickly scribble this down. I should have really made one earlier. So when I do my mind map, I've got me in the center. Then I might think, okay, so I've got my playgroup friends. I've got my gym girls. I've got my school friends, I've got my church buddies, and I've got, what's another category? My neighbors. I love my neighbors. I've got beautiful neighbors. We're very nice little street. So you do your little mind map, and then you start thinking, okay, let's see, church friends. I've got Kat. I've got, what other friends? I've got Vicky. I've got Katie, I've got Rachel, let's see, my neighbors, I've got Kath, I've got another Rachel, I've got a Colleen, playgroup girls, you know, I've got Nicole, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to sit here and list all my friends, it'll get really boring. So come up with your list like that. You know, you can actually just make a little mind map. And then you can kind of think about, okay, well, let's see, let's be strategic. Remember, we're going to be strategic with our conversations. Playgroup, I'll be seeing those girls on Tuesday morning. I know I'll make some brownies. I'll add a drop of wild orange. I'll bring them with me, and that'll be a really good conversation starter. And then I can chat to the girls. They're like, oh, these brownies taste amazing. And then you can be like, oh, I've used my oils. And they're like, oh, what are these oils you're talking about? You know, strategic. Creating conversation openers, and then you can kind of follow up with a class invitation. You know, at church, I can be like, make sure I, you know, wear my diffuser jewelry, something like that. So it's about sort of planning. So if you are watching this video, and I hope you've lasted this long and listening to me, I'd really like to encourage you to actually sit down and come up with a mind map. Maybe come up with, you know, 5 categories and try to think of 5 people in each category. If you do that, that's 25 names right there of people you can think about. Then looking at each person, I want you to actually think, when am I going to next see them? Or if I'm not going to, just happen to see them, let's make an appointment. Let's chat to them. Let's give them a ring. One of the things I've actually really loved about doTERRA is I've actually reconnected with some beautiful friends of mine from years and years ago. So when I first joined, when I first joined doTERRA and started sharing the oils, there was a Get to Know doTERRA event in Sydney. Now, I don't live in Sydney anymore. I live further away from Sydney, but I've still got a lot of friends there. So I literally messaged about 100 friends saying, hey, there's this event on, I think you really love it, blah, blah, blah. Just a little short snippet. For some of them, it was like, hey, I know I haven't spoken to you in ages, but blah, 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 blah. Anyway, a few of them wrote back, and I've actually since then reconnected with some friends I haven't spoken to in ages. And whether they buy oils or not, I don't really care. It's just exciting that I reconnected with some friends. So, even if you think, oh, I haven't spoken to this person in ages, it could be a bit awkward, it's a chance to reconnect. If they were your friend before, they'll probably be happy to hear from you. Obviously, don't jump straight in with, hey, how are you? Let's buy some oils. Reconnect, spend the time reconnecting with them. And that brings me to my second task I'd like you to do. So task number 1, do your mind map. Task number 2 is, if someone asks you, what do you do? What do you say? What's your infomercial? Imagine you had 10 seconds as a little infomercial about what do you do. So if someone says to me, what do you do? I have a couple of options. I could be like, I'm a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids. I could be like, I'm a coastie. There's lots of different things I could say, but this is a chance to sort of, get them excited. So I know that there are some people that if someone says, oh, what do you do? They say, I have the best job in the world. And then they stop and pause. And then the other person, of course, then goes, oh, what do you do? And that's a strategy I've seen used, and it works well. But find something that's going to work for you. It needs to be natural and comfortable for you. So for me, if someone says, oh, what do you do? I say, I run Lavender and Friends, and it's about essential oil education and inspiration. I'm really passionate about helping people find natural solutions for health and well-being. Obviously, depending on the situation, the context, I might simplify it, or I might sort of say, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I have the luxury of, running a business with my children. Do whatever works for you. So that's your task. So task number 1, make a mind map. And task number 2 is come up with your infomercial. So that's all I have for today's training. Hope you found it useful. It is a bit, I can ramble on a bit, so I'm glad you sort of stuck through it. As always, my website is lavenderandfriends.com. Please jump on, have a look. Facebook is Lavender and Friends as well. Definitely jump on and say hi. If you don't have any oils yet, if you're thinking of joining, if you'd love to join a fabulous team and you're not already working with someone, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love you to join my Lavender Squad and, be able to train you and support you on your oil journey. And anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your night, and cheers. Thanks for watching.